Hello and welcome to
Take two.
That's another show altogether.
Let's try it again, shall we?
Death perception.
Yeah.
That'll be the slasher one.
Yes.
Hello and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way that we experience them. We create a perception of sound, a perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. I am joined again by Chris.
Hey, Voz.
Or KMax, if you will.
Yes, indeed.
And Jimothy.
How's it going?
Or James. So this third episode brought to you by the phrase, yummy payoff.
Yes.
So, KMax, you introduced this phrase in our first episode, and I thought it'd be a nice rabbit hole to dive into. Because to me, it's not necessarily just the end of a movie or the resolution of a movie's conflict. It could be a reward for following a story's details or deciphering the filmmaker's message and techniques. So there's probably a better phrase for what we're talking about. I'm not sure yummy payoff is in any curriculum, but it's our phrase, and we own it.
Love it.
To me, it's kind of a cross between conflict resolution, how well a movie ties up the conflicts that it presents us, and I guess the idea of plants and payoff. So a little example I thought of right away of yummy payoff. You guys, you've seen Community. I know James has seen Community. Have you seen Community?
Oh, yeah.
So the Beetlejuice joke, rewards you for paying attention there. The first two seasons, the word Beetlejuice is said once per season, and then the third season, just like the movie, the third time it's said, he's summoned. So in the show, he some character dressed like Beetlejuice shows up in the background. So to me, that's just like an hors d'oeuvre of a yummy payoff there. That's what I think of when I say yummy payoff, but do you guys have different thoughts as to what that means or anything to add?
I feel like, sorry, James. I feel like yummy payoff to me is the feeling you get when you're in a theater or when you're watching a streaming service and you're just like, oh, yeah, you put your hands in the air, like a certain character says a line that just either crushes you or just has you like, yeah, or like an action happens that's like, then I think, like you said, I knew it. It happens very seldom for me, so I really celebrate it when it happens. If something like a plot resolves a certain way, like I kind of thought, and I feel that's a payoff to me.
One just came to mind. Literally just came to mind. Because I was in a movie theater, and I said what was going to happen because of what led up to it. And it was iRobot when he's interviewing the robot Will Smith is, and he winks at the one detective, and he's like, what does that mean? And he's like, it's trust. And as the story keeps going, they're trying to build trust between this robot who Will Smith's character hates, and at one point he turns on them, grabs the gun and points it at the girl. And then I was like, it's a trick. He's trying to get Will Smith to trust him. And I lean over to Air in the middle of the movie theater, I'm like, he's gonna wink. And then the robot winks, and then they start, shooting everyone up. And I was like, she was like, how would you know that? I was like, it paid off. It was the payoff right there. They set it up, and I recognized it. So that was one of my,
like I say,
it was a little mwah, little one of those chef kiss
so
moments.
Rarely for me. And I always sit here with you two guys every week, and I'm like, you guys see those things, and I'm like, I don't, but when I do, it's like, it's worthy of it. And then sometimes it's just an actor just nailing it too. It's a yummy payoff. You mentioned Community, and in my head I just think of the beatboxing. Donde está la biblioteca? Me llamo T-Bone la discoteca. That's a free one. It's so good.
All right, so the first episode we presented 3 movies apiece. So I think I think it'd be a good idea to follow that same recipe here. And I think we'll start off again with James. We'll go with your top three
So
payoffs.
my top three, once again, I'm the least prepared. Once again, I came up with these last second. Once again, I do not have all the notes possible to really articulate my thoughts on these movies. First off, it's going to be Kung Fu Panda.
Oh,
Okay.
Kung Fu Panda. Okay, so the character having built up from being discounted by everyone, not having any abilities, and then Shifu needing to use food to motivate him. Finally getting him to the end where he's the only one available, or only one with the ability to fight Tai Lung, the what is he, like a white tiger?
snow leopard.
Snow leopard, yeah. Who has that's AC. That's what it is. Who has defeated everyone leading up to him, and then him getting the dragon scroll and then realizing there's nothing on it. Poe realizes it's all within himself. There's no secret ingredient, like in the secret ingredient soup. Same thing. And everyone else who sees it, especially Tai Lung, is like, there's nothing here. It's like, not nothing, it's everything. And how he interpreted all the little pieces that led up to Poe becoming that person kind of paid off in the end. And then him beating him. And clearly defining himself as the Dragon Warrior against all odds, against everyone who stood against him, against everyone who couldn't stand him. But I like all the little things leading up to his character finally reaching that moment. Mm-hmm. So that's one of my favorite yummy payoffs.
Yeah.
The next one I'm going to go with is Avengers Endgame. So that final battle. And I know you had set up sections of different types of payoffs, and you put them in categories of that. And that's one of them where it's like the final battle, where you have 20 movies, and then the previous movie that I had taken all of my kids to. Like, I used to take the kids from school early. Noon, we're going to the noon matinee showing on a Wednesday, and we're taking you out of school. So we missed usually the rush weekend, but the next Monday or Tuesday or whatever it was, we would take them all out of school, and we'd go at noon, and we'd go and watch the movies. And we saw Infinity War, where everyone dusted away, and my kids were crying.
Oh, yeah.
They were all upset. Like, they were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Just to come in to have Endgame, and to have all those payoffs come in, have all those characters, have the hammer lifted by Captain America, and to have them win, finally beat Thanos when all the odds were against them, to go back in time and grab the stones, come back in it. And I feel like that was 24 movies or whatever it was that led up to it, to have that be a final payoff. I thought that was like kind of like the biggest moment, in at least that I can remember, of multiple movies and having a cinematic experience like at the movie theater with my kids and having everyone there to enjoy it. I thought it was a great payoff.
That's cool.
That's tough to top that many storylines coming together like that.
And they did it well, and they did it well. Like, I felt like it could have been done better. There's stuff with the plot, and there's always little iffy things that weren't perfect. But I felt like the culmination of all those story made it even bigger, grander, like more epic. And the last movie I have is a movie called Snake Eyes. It's a Nicolas Cage kind of a murder mystery type thriller, where he's a crooked police detective that's like on the take. So they kind of joke at him. They're like, oh yeah, you get in your patrol car and you reach under your seat and there's an envelope with money and you look the other way. And so the character that opposes him is one of his good friends, who is Boy Scout, by the books, straight and narrow, Gary Sinise, who is trying to cover up a... Did you ever see
No,
that?
I haven't, but I like both those guys.
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you.
No, please do, for the purpose of our audience.
Okay, so...
I probably had about 15 years to watch this movie,
So
right?
it's like 25, I think, right?
Yeah.
It might be like 20 movies or 20 years. But so it takes place in Atlantic City during a boxing match, big boxing match, and the story kind of follows around this police detective who's rubs shoulders with everyone in this whole city. He's friends with so and so. He got someone off of charges, so he's this buddy. Somebody owes him something. So he goes backstage. He goes around. He's dressed like with a suit, but with like a Hawaiian shirt underneath it. So he's very like Atlantic City, like this is his arena. And when it comes down to having to find who, because in the middle of the fight, the boxers are supposed to throw the fight and then attract everyone, get everyone to stand up. And that's when assassin is supposed to kill a senator who's
Oh,
in
I
the front
see.
row. So when it happens, enough stuff happens that piques his interest. He locks the entire casino and arena down, and he's looking at all the people. What ends up happening is he finds out who's in charge, or who set up this whole thing, or why this senator was assassinated. And the whole time he's trying to get the person who's trying to whistleblow on the whole thing, to get them to shut up. Like he's trying not to put that person in the light that he deserves to be in. And when he does, he tells him, you're a crooked cop. You've been on the take for years, and once the light gets shined onto you, you can't handle it and you'll burn up. You should just shut up, shut your mouth, and look the other way. And he doesn't. And in the end, he actually gets indicted, gets all the charges pressed against him. And even though he solved the assassin, figured out who killed the senator, and he kind of brings everything to light, like the good person's supposed to.
He gets exposed.
But because of his history, he gets exposed, and the whole following action after the whole big event is him kind of eating the cost of it. And I was like, that's poetic. It's like perfectly poetic. Whereas like and afterwards you can tell that he needed to go through all that, and there's a little bit of picking himself up at the end. But I like that it's such a bittersweet, like, falling action of him having to eat the cost of what he endured, and he was willing to take it on.
Is that Gary Sinise's character?
That's Nicolas Cage's character.
Oh, okay.
Gary Sinise is like he's like an Air Force captain or something like that. So he's like working with the military.
I see.
Or Navy captain. He's a Navy captain working with the military. And Nicolas Cage's character, because he's like wild. He's a wild detective guy, So he's friends with people, chummy. He gets loud and obnoxious, and very Nicolas Cage about it. But it's a great like thriller detective movie. And then in the end of it, he gets indicted, loses the job he wanted, breaks up with whoever, he owes money, and his whole thing comes crashing down on his head. But it's like that's what needed to happen. Like you didn't want that for him. It wouldn't have made it such a I felt like it felt too fairy tale to have it that way, because his character was so kind of crooked in a Sin City crooked world.
Yeah,
he fit in.
And so weird that a payoff can be something that's so negative, but it's like it's a huge payoff nonetheless, even if it is.
Because it shows the truth, like, behind his character. It's like, that needed to happen. It felt so much more better, like, as a story. Like, it felt the poetic justice that was necessary to make it even better. If it ended with him being a hero, it would not feel as good as seeing him have to handle the stress of the weight of his sins,
his transgressions.
Yes, his prior transgressions. He has to take the weight of it now. Because it's like he's being, you want to be the good guy? You got to clean all this shit that you got in the past. Clean all this, beep that out. Clean all the garbage in your past. You're gonna have to clean that up.
Did you say ship?
Yeah, he's got a lot of ship he's got to clean up.
Garbage barge.
You did say he was a Navy man.
Navy man. Ordered pants. Said he ship my pants over here. But those are my three. Okay. I didn't go too deep into it, but it just had like a little bit of the build up to your story, and it felt like it was a solid, well crafted conclusion for those characters.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Cause I don't know, the phrase "yummy payoff" I feel like is so subjective. Also, because I mean, there's movies out there that have like plot twists that could be considered yummy payoffs.
Oh yeah.
So KMax. Hit me with your top three.
All right, so KMax, ever known for his love of fruit, especially low-hanging fruit. That sounded awful. We might have to throw that out also. I picked three that I really enjoyed the payoffs. Now, this is probably of the 3 weeks we've done, this is my favorite category because that's why I consume that. People say, yeah, I like movies that do this. I like movies that do that. This is my wheelhouse, where I get that feeling of I want to emote, I want to feel, I want to cheer, I want to cry even. If it gets that out of me, it's like, that moved me. It influenced me, you know what I mean? And I guess, so these ones did. The Usual Suspects was one that, the days of the VHS, we'd go rent the VHS and watch it. And we must have rented it a dozen times because me and my brothers loved it. I think they loved it for other reasons. I loved it for trying to figure it out. Watching it and just trying to see after you see the reveal, saying, "Let's see."
Yeah, if
And
they gave you
watch
enough
it, yeah,
clues where you...
and you watch it and you watch it, and again, when it came out, I was a pretty young kid, and then I've watched it probably a dozen times since, and it's only gotten better. And I watched it, not totally. I watched about an hour of it today at work. Tax dollars well spent again. Watched about an hour of it at work today, and it was really cool. I really like to see when you see Chaz Palminteri's reaction when he kind of just when it hits him, and then he sees about the quartet, right? And then he sees the tall tale, the picture of the fishing of him fishing. So he's just manipulating the investigator's thought process that's already there. All these little clues, and then Mr. Redfoot, a name of the person on the investigation board, all these different things, and then finally the Kobayashi, the cup. Mm-hmm. It's just woven so well, and you see that, and meanwhile you see him walking away, and you hear him narrating the line that he told the investigator, and he's walking, and he shows his limp foot going, and you're like, and I still didn't see it when I was watching it the first time. I still didn't see it. He's walking with his little palsy leg, and you see him like, the cripple. He's screaming. He goes, "Where's the?" He's walking, runs down the stairs, and then you first see that first smooth step as he's walking. I was like, "Oh, that's the first time I kind of got it." Like, wait a minute here, and then he just misses him. He gets into the car, and the guy who was supposed to be Kobayashi was his driver. Yeah. He gets in the car and he goes, and then he says, then there's like a voiceover, and it's something that he said early on to Chaz, to the investigator, and he says, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled is to convince the world he didn't exist. And then I like that, and I almost like also, I remembered the line when he said, "How do you shoot the devil in the back? What if you miss?" And it was like, I remember in that moment I felt so bad for his character, the little cripple. You know what I mean? Like verbal when he was that kind of quiet guy,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, you know what? I feel bad for him. And now I'm recalled when he says the devil line. I remember, what if you miss? I couldn't face this, because if you miss, it's just too terrifying. It's too terrifying of a thought. Meanwhile, it was him all along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like I thought to myself, that is really good. And it made me want to watch it again and again and again. And it felt like something that I'd never seen before. And a lot of people do it. I don't know if anybody does it as well as that movie did, but a lot of people do that now. They give you a little twist or something at the end. Mm-hmm. Seven does a great job of it. I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder, but like there's other movies that give me that same feeling, mm-hmm. that same yummy payoff. But I thought of that feel, mm-hmm. yeah, of that feel, The Usual Suspects, I picked that one to represent that style of payoff.
I kind of got robbed from that one. I knew the story before I saw the movie.
Oh.
Like I knew the ending. And so I'm like, I still watched it. And I was like, oh, that was cool. That was really cool. But I didn't watch it with enough vigor or like enough attention. Because I knew, I was like, oh, Kevin Spacey's going to...
Well, that's it. I mean...
I feel like it ruined it for me. So
someone yucked your yum.
Yep, someone yucked my yum.
That's what they did. They yucked your yum. It happens. Someone yucked his yum. Doggone it. So leading me to my second film is...
Ruined climax. Yeah.
That's right. Listen, interrupt this. Low-hanging fruit again. Shawshank Redemption. Oh. Right. I mean, there's the three yummy payoffs. Like obviously, Andy going through what he goes through, and his patience pays off.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
The warden, that was my favorite payoff.
The justice he got?
The justice he got. So first, the public humiliation, the fact that he gives the paper, he goes, "Could you drop this in the mail for me?" And it's all this stuff going to the news.
Yep.
That felt nice. When he sees the police coming in the distance, coming over the hill, winding back and forth, it was like, you could see justice coming,
Yeah.
And then
for someone who is so smug,
doggone smug,
with the Bible too. He's Bible thumping him on top of it.
That's right. And then he goes, and then he gets the book, and then he says, "The Bible goes, the truth. You were right. The truth will set me free. This book will set me free." And it has a little outline of the hammer in it. And
Yep.
so good, so many little things there. But the fact that that's what makes a great film, though, right? Is you hate the bad guy, you just disdain him. I find myself, like Harry Potter. I was gonna really put. I was going to do 3 Harry Potter movies for this.
Umbridge is like
that's exactly her.
Right.
That's exactly her.
It's like Joffrey, Umbridge, and
yes, those
and
are
Warden.
There they are. That's the unholy trinity right there. Umbridge is up there though.
Yeah.
I mean, worse than Voldemort. So anyway, then the last yummy payoff is of course Red,
Yes.
where he's kind of like the Jiminy Cricket, like the conscience. He's literally the voice of God in so many movies. Right?
Yeah.
So, but like I felt like. Red kind of, when he tells the parole board, you go ahead and sign whatever you got to do. I really don't give a blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then sure enough, boom, he's granted his parole. He's out there. He follows the clues. He finds the note, and he finds his way in that last scene where he's walking down the beach and sees his friend.
Yep.
I mean, all of it's worth it. And it, I think the payoff there is when you can relate to the characters or relate to the situation or even hope to someday relate to it, that I'm going to have that moment, that beach moment where I'm going to see and it's going to all make sense and I'm going to be able to relax, you know what I mean? And do the things I dreamed about in the way I wanted to do that and with the people that I wanted to do that with. That's like the huge payoff. And I see Red going from this being in his whole adult life in prison, being free, and then walking that beach to see his buddy who outsmarted the system.
Yep.
And then just that yummy payoff is, it doesn't get any tastier. Both really good movies, too. Mm-hmm. And then the curveball, this is the one I didn't tell you. And if it's anybody's, I'm so sorry. The Last Samurai.
I haven't seen it in its entirety. I have watched parts of it because it's on satellite, and I've watched it, parts of it all the way through.
I'm in the same boat.
In the same boat? Okay, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to mark it down. This is the first time, and probably the last time, that Christoph will have seen anything that these guys haven't seen because they are well-read and well-watched folks. And I watch Snoopy very often and Harry Potter on loop. But like The Last Samurai, it's part of my... Again, tax dollars hard at work. It's part of my Global 10 curriculum when we talk about imperialism. It's a terrific movie to talk about colonialism and imperialism. Anyway, the yummy payoff comes. The very basic idea is that, right, you have like the Emperor Meiji and the Meiji Restoration. Period in time when they're modernizing, they're westernizing. And so they go and they get this captain from the army who's just amazing at taking out indigenous people in helping imperial nations imperialize and set up colonies. So Tom Cruise's character, they get him, they hire him, reluctant, alcoholic, PTSD from all the natives he killed, wants nothing to do with it, takes the money, he goes over. Anyway, long story short, he gets sent over there and he's supposed to train all these Japanese soldiers to go and get rid of the samurai and change their whole way of life because they want to westernize. And there's this guy, Amora, who's, he's like a heavier, well-to-do, he wears Western suits. And he's manipulating the council. He's manipulating the young emperor, who's probably 14 years old. And a person on the council is Katsumoto, who is this very respected samurai. Probably the star of the movie. And the young emperor asks him, "Teacher, tell me what I should do." And he's so traditional, and it's so real to him. He said, "I can't speak the words for you. You're the voice of God, not me." And he just encourages him, and it ends up being kind of his undoing, because Amora doesn't mind telling him what to do or what to say, and he's pushing down this westernization and industrialization on Meiji, and kind of goes along with history a little bit. But I point out Amora because that's where the payoff is for me, because he's like this. He represents this Western idea, modernize, do away with the old ways, and fast forward toward the end, right, and all the samurai have been eliminated by this military, but not by Tom Cruise's character, because he's captured early on and becomes one of them and fights with the samurai, and he is in fact the last samurai, because at the very end, here's where the payoff comes. Amora's there, and they're trying to close the deal with the West, with America, saying, all right, the problem's over. The samurai eliminated. Let's sign this arms deal. Let's modernize our army. And Captain Aldridge, who was Tom Cruise's character, comes in, and he wants to talk to the Emperor. And he's all shot up, and he's the last one that survived. And Amora's like, he fought against you, Emperor. He has no audience with you. And he's like, lets him come in, and he walks in. He's very humble. He puts his head down. He lays his sword down. And he goes, I give you the sword. He said he hoped that it would give you wisdom and guidance to lead the people into the future. That's what Katsumoto would have wanted. And he kneels down. The Emperor Meiji kneels down next to Tom Cruise, who's knelt down there prostrate. And Amuro says, he fought against you. You know, he's like yelling at the Emperor. Mm-hmm. And you don't do that, right? And the Emperor looks at him. And he looks at Tom Cruise and he says, you're with him in the end. And he said, yes. And he said, tell me how he died. You know, because he wanted to know how his teacher died. And one of the lines that gets me is Tom Cruise looks at him, he hands him the sword, and he said, I'll tell you how he lived. And it's just a nice payoff. It's just this rich culture. Because what he's saying there is like, I'm going to tell you how your people lived, how the real Japanese lived, how the traditional culture lived. And hopefully all this whole room will hear it. I'll tell you how he lived. And that would probably have been one of the last wishes that Katsumoto would have had. And then when Meiji, after he stands up after hearing this story about how the samurai lived. He looks at Amuro and he looks at the American there and he says, after long consideration, it's become apparent to me that this deal is not in good interest of my people. Mm. And the guy goes, this is an outrage. He shows his true colors. Mm. And he goes, if I may, and Emperor Meiji stops him right there, and you see his full authority. He says, I'm so sorry, but you may not. Like, you can't say another word in here. And he's just so... And then Amuro starts almost yelling at the Emperor. And the Emperor says, if you really care about your people, then sell all the things in your family. You don't mind if I take all your assets and give them to the people. And Amuro's like, you shame me. I can't be... And so he offers him the sword. The samurai way. He offers it to him. He goes, if the shame is too great to bear, he hands it to him to take his own life. And of course, he shows that he's been a fraud all along by bowing away that, no, I won't do that.
Right.
And so I thought that was a really, really, really good payoff in a different kind of way. Because, you have this depth of character, but you also have this whole, contrast of cultures. And not really sure sometimes who to cheer for, because you're like, okay, this side, that side. But in that final scene, it becomes really, really clear who the good guys were. And I just thought it was a cool payoff.
Okay.
So those are my three. Yep.
Next time it's on, I'm going to make sure I sit all the way through it.
It's good.
Because I watched some of the battles and when he first shows up, because Tom Cruise is really out of his element when he shows up.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Because they're very strict. And I thought he came off like he was drunk or something.
Yeah, he was a drunk.
He was drunk, that's right. And so they were easily kind of pushing him around. And once he got his legs under him and, had to fight alongside of them, then the colors came out. But
yeah, that's the cool thing is he lived with them for months. He was captured by them and lived with them for months and learned their language and the culture and loosely based on some true journal entries. So it's kind of cool too.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
What do you got, Voz?
Yeah, your turn. Big dog.
All right. So I started by just listing all the movies I thought had a yummy payoff. And what I noticed was, well, first of all, I think the yummiest of payoffs come from how well a movie set up its conflicts and how well it completes their resolution. So that would mean that the yummy payoff for me revolves around the climax. And I promise you, puns are not intended.
I never signed on to
that. So, as I'm listing movie after movie, I started to notice that each one seemed to fit into one of four categories. So we had climax. It was about everything coming to a head, like an epic final battle. This side versus that side, good versus evil, ultimate resolution, war. So movies that kind of fit into that, at least for me, the way that I see them, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, 3:10 to Yuma, Return of the Jedi, Return of the King,
Oh.
Mad Max Fury Road, Rocky, and even Aliens, I felt, fit into this category. So the payoff is more about the greatness of the battle and maybe not so much about the result itself. So, just that hair-raising experience when you're watching like a great battle on screen, that's the payoff right there. So the movie I picked for this category was Raiders of the Lost Ark. It kind of wasn't until maybe within the last 5 years, because I've grown up watching Raiders, as a little kid, just on VHS, sticking it in, letting it play while I'm, playing with toys or whatever. And like I said, it wasn't until about 5 years ago where I tried watching it again through a different lens and trying to figure out, why do I like this movie so much? Why is it such a classic? And then there was like the whole, was it Big Bang Theory, I think, came up with the...
Why he's
it was like
not...
Indiana Jones was useless in that movie or whatever because everything would have happened.
He's irrelevant,
anyway. Yeah. So I was like, that can't be true. Rewatched it back then, and I've watched it a couple times since then, and it's gotten, better and better for me anyway.
Are you refuting Big Bang Theories?
I refute everything about it. For me, Raiders of the Lost Ark was the ultimate good versus evil. So Indy's goal throughout the whole thing is just pretty much stop the Nazis. Through this movie, we're thinking, is the Ark real? Is there power of God in this thing? Is someone going to step up and stop these evil people from doing what they're doing? There's a moment towards the end when Belloc eats that fly. He's got the rocket launcher pointed at the Ark, Indy does. And so Belloc kind of says, you don't want to blow this up. You want to see it open just like I do. So it's kind of like inviting, let's see if there's power of God in here.
Yeah.
As almost like, to me, like almost taunting, they're saying that Hitler was a fan of the occult and was after all these religious artifacts. And it was like, if it's real, they plan to weaponize it. And if it's not real, then now there's no divine intervention to stop us from doing what we're trying to do here. So that's why I say it's the ultimate good versus evil. Is these evil people, can they be stopped? The yummiest payoff, they open the Ark, and it is real. And the lightning comes out, and the power of God kills all the bad guys on the island. Indy and Marion, he knows well enough, tells her, keep your eyes shut no matter what. And to me, it was kind of like you can trust that this ultimate goodness is working. You don't have to see it happen. You know that it's working. And it was almost kind of like that wrath of God that evened things out. Mm-hmm. And that was the ultimate power of good right there. As terrifying as it looked.
That's such a good movie.
There was some great face melting.
So I think part of that, it was also like Indiana Jones was kind of similar because he was hunting artifacts. Like it started off with him hunting some form of indigenous idol in the forest, without really connecting it to anything. It was just something to be found and brought back. There was no, it definitely meant something to the indigenous people there. In the same way that maybe the Ark was just another thing to find. But this time, it did have meaning. To address was Indiana Jones useless? This is a side note, but because
spill it.
To me, he was a conduit for the audience to experience that message of like the good versus evil. And I could probably get into a little bit more, but I liken this to Mad Max Fury Road, because that movie I think had a strong message about religion and faith. And, Mad Max, you could probably argue the same thing, where he was just the character tagging along while other things are happening around him. Sure, he's fighting bad guys, but, is this really about him, or is it about something bigger than him? And so same character, or, to me, the characters have that similarity where we're experiencing what the filmmakers are trying to tell us through their adventures. So, yeah, that was Raiders of the Lost Ark in the context of a climactic yummy payoff. Second yummy payoff category, plot devices or plants and payoffs. So this is like more technical, more skillful storytelling, use of red herrings, foreshadowing, symbolism. The idea of, I think it's Chekhov's gun. Have you heard of this?
I haven't.
You mentioned it to me last time.
I briefly talked about it with James. But so if a storyteller shows you a gun on the table in the first act, that gun better go off throughout somewhere in the story. So it's like, here's something, pay it off later.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a little bit tougher to find movies, but when you do find them, it's just a buffet of yummy payoffs. So Get Out, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Pan's Labyrinth, Black Swan, and Enemy were all in this category. A lot of symbolism, a lot of foreshadowing, and here's a plant and here's a payoff. Shaun of the Dead, there's the Winchester, the gun above the bar. Oh, it doesn't fire. And then the payoff.
It could have been named Chekhov. Yeah. Right. Where are you guys going? To the Winchester.
to Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
Payoff might not be a rush of adrenaline or a singular scene, but it's more of a sense of accomplishment in connecting the dots.
That makes sense.
So to me, it was like, okay, it's like getting $1,000 a week for life versus a lump sum earning. So that was the best way I could come up with. So it's a different payoff, but it's like dividends,
Mm-hmm.
You could find a movie like the ones I listed, but you can also find a movie that does that and more. In my second choice, The Prestige. Both of you guys have seen this movie, right?
I've seen it, but I haven't seen it. Probably like you've seen Samurai.
Okay.
Bits of it, but never sat down and poured over. I want to. Remember when it was first coming out, I wanted to really.
Yeah, I probably sat through it straight through probably 3 or 4 times. That's Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. It doesn't get higher
Scarlett
profile than
Johansson, Rebecca Hall, Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Michael Caine. Horrible.
Michael Caine.
This could get real bad real quick.
Master Wayne.
I'm tipping my cup to James and Corey. That's the best Michael Caine I can do.
Wasn't he Austin Powers' dad?
What was his name in Austin Powers?
Mr.
Nigel.
Powers.
Nigel Powers.
Nigel Powers. She was all 6s and 7s. I don't say that enough at work. And there's enough opportunity to say that at work.
Oh, God bless it.
Shit on a turtle.
So, I rewatched The Prestige within the last 2 days here, bits and pieces until I finished it all. Because I remember there was just so much to unpack, especially when you get to the end and you figure out, they show you everything. So then you want to go back and figure it all out, kind of like Usual Suspects, I guess, where now that let's go back and see, could we have figured it out? What were the signs? It was all over. I took notes and, I took like 2 or 3 pages of notes on just the plants and the payoffs in this one. But the first words spoken are you watching closely? It's setting you up for it right from the beginning. And the first thing that you see are the hats just scattered around the ground. So like there's your plant number one is, okay, I guess we'll get to that later. You know, all these hats just lying on the ground.
All these exactly the same hats
Yeah.
all over the ground.
From the very beginning, Michael Caine explains the plot. The pledge, you know, the setup of a trick, the turn where you actually do the trick, and then the prestige where you come full circle and, you know, the man in the box comes back, or whatever it is, the bird comes back. Just crazy foreshadowing right in the beginning, telling you how to watch the movie. The trick they do in the beginning, like within the first half hour of this movie, there's just so much that comes full circle by the end. I believe there's the trick with the bird.
Now that was cool when you first pointed that out, was that it mimics how the end of the story, how he's the bird now in the, is it Angiers? Is that how you say his name?
Angier.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman's character. That's so cool though, because the
Like-
girl recognizes it. Like, what
I
happened
think
to the other
it's a
bird?
little boy, I think. But
That's
like,
what it was. It's a
yeah,
child. I remember it being a
magician
child.
slaps down the thing, and you know the kid's crying. They're like, "Oh, don't worry, here's the bird."
Have
right
you seen
here."
that part, Chris?
I don't believe I can't recall it
Okay,
automatically.
so-
There's a small bird in the box.
Yeah, so the we have Borden, which is Christian Bale, and we have Angier, which is
Hugh Jackman.
Okay.
So Borden is able to assist a magician. I think it's the scene. It might be something different that I'm thinking of, but there's a bird in a cage, and another magician slaps it down into, you know, the stool or the table that it's on. Cage and bird gone. And then, you know, the magician brings back the bird. And there's a kid in the front row just crying. They're like, "Oh, don't worry, the bird's right here." And he says, "No, you killed it." And it's, you know, he's like, "No, the brother. Like, where's the brother then?" Right there,
In
like,
the
they
trick,
already-
the bird gets shot over and crushed, but you don't see it. So the bird is destroyed in the trick, and a different bird replaces it. So it looks like it disappeared and reappeared.
Yeah.
But the kid recognized it, thinking it was his brother because they were similar birds. He's like, "What
I
happened?"
see.
So he's crying because the bird gets killed.
And that's
he
early
noticed
on?
it. It's right in the beginning.
Really? Because
Yeah.
that's
So-
one thing I do know is that little twin thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I was hoping that you had seen this one.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
spoil a lot of this movie.
Because so they were like, "Oh, he's." What did they say? They said like, "Oh, he's."
Well, he's a smart one.
He's a
this
smart one, yeah,
whatever.
because it's what is it in his sleeve or
Very
something,
sharp.
or it's crushed in the
Yeah.
bottom of it, and they got to take the dead bird out. But that's how the trick works, and it foreshadows later
I
on
see.
where Angier's character is cloned and has
Yeah.
to kill himself in order.
And then
Wow.
the movie's told in a non-linear way, so you get some things are, you know, in the beginning, some things are happening towards the end. One of our characters is like Borden is already in jail, and so like, well, in jail for what? So like
I
there's
see.
another plant, you know. So when you jump around like that, you're able to plant things that we're figuring out as we go along. There's a scene. The woman escapes from the water tank, and Borden says he forgets, but you know, he tries a different knot for the girl to undo. So when they do it originally, it's fine. You know, they do the go through the motion to do the trick correctly, but you see Michael Caine grab an axe and a timer, and he press time. So there's Chekhov's axe right there.
Oh,
Here's an axe. It's gonna have to get used. So
It's very prominent. It's like noticeable in the scene. That's like, oh, there's an axe. There's him holding it. It's like,
So
oh, okay.
when they try it again, and Borden gets brave and stupid and tries a different knot, yeah, the timer goes off and curtains go up, and she's drowning in there. And so he's trying with the axe to get her open, and you know she dies. So like, there's your plant and payoff within 5 minutes of each other right there. There was a scene right after the first time that they did the water escape trick that it's almost only planting for payoffs. So it's Borden explaining how the magician that they're helping is boring and needs to be a little bit more daring. He needs to be new. So he's throwing these things out there like, okay, you should do a bullet catch. And everyone says, no, that's too dangerous. And he says, okay, well, I've got a crazy trick that no one else can do. And they said, well, let's see it. He's like, no. You know, those things come back throughout the movie. 20 minutes later, bullet catch is done, and of course it's too dangerous. And, I mean, the second half of the movie revolves around the versions of the transported man, which is Borden's trick that only he can do.
Right. I do like them sabotaging each other's tricks throughout the whole thing, too. That's
So, like, crazy thing to me is, like, the whole movie is structured the same way that the trick is. You know, the pledge, the turn, the prestige, and then there's a scene in the beginning that unlocks the whole thing for you. And Angier and Borden are watching some Asian magician do a trick, and whoever can find out how he does the fishbowl trick wins, you know, their own single act for a little bit. They watch him do a trick where he makes a fishbowl appear on a table.
Oh, it's like a large fishbowl that they shouldn't be able to just lift and carry.
Oh, I see.
And so he just like lifts the thing up, and then there's a large fishbowl. Like, how is he doing that?
So after the performance, they're watching him, and Borden points out, this is the trick right here. He says, this is the illusion. He is, you know, he's actually very strong. He's just acting
like an old frail.
Yeah, he's acting old and frail here so that everyone believes that that's how he is and couldn't possibly hold a giant fishbowl of water. And he says very specific things. He mentions the word method. Throughout the movie, each character has the other's book of tricks. Borden's notebook that Angier is thumbing through cannot be read correctly unless you have the method or the keyword that unlocks everything. So much in the same way, you can't fully understand this movie without the method. The phrase that Borden says is self-sacrifice. And to me, that was the method right there for watching the movie. So if you watch this thing through the lens of self-sacrifice, you start to understand right away. You know, of course, once you see it one time, then it's easier to say, oh yeah, I got all the hints. But if you watch it through self-sacrifice, of course he understands why this performance outside of the actual act is what's more important. Then you can understand why Angier did what he did at the end, where he's just literally self-sacrificing himself to this trick. So it's like very interesting that the whole movie played out like a diary of each of their lives and their tricks and their little fights against each other. So the movie played out like the diary when you had the method of self-sacrifice. Like, that's how you watch the movie, with that lens, and you can decipher it.
That's interesting.
So that's why I said it's a plethora of yummy payoff, because once you see that, then things start to make sense as you go through the movie. Self-sacrifice, with, you know, Borden's fingers got shut off, so Fallon or whatever has to chop his fingers off.
His twin has to
really?
match it. Cuts his own finger. Yeah, so I don't know if we want to tell him.
I don't mind.
He's seen it, yeah.
He's seen it? Okay. So he has a twin and then an assistant who's like kind of frumpy looking with a funny nose or whatever, and it's Christian Bale's twin. And so they'll swap positions for Fallon, and they it's like a nose prosthetic and funny hair, whatever, and he walk different, and they just switch characters between each other. So
I see.
So when one guy, his fingers shot off, was it because of the bullet catch? Is that why his fingers?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, Angier.
So Angier's so Hugh Jackman's character sabotaged the bullet catch
Jeepers.
routine, and so he ended up getting his fingers shot off. So his twin, in order to keep the ruse up, has to cut his fingers off to match the hand, so that they both have the same. So to mimic the Asian man's trick, the trick is to him to be this person all the time, playing each other's character, so that when they can do a trick that no one else can do, the disappearing man and reappearing, it's because everyone believes there's only one of him.
Yeah.
And he has to live that double life as that's his life, though, is to split between the two.
One of the payoffs you just reminded me here that I got this time watching through, that I'm not sure that I got other times watching through, was that they just didn't understand each other, Borden and Angier. Borden has to be someone else all the time. You're either Borden or you're Fallon.
Yeah.
And there's a moment in the movie where Angier tells, it's either his wife or Scarlett Johansson's character, being someone else. I think it was in the beginning when he realized that the Borden was right about the Asian magician. He said, being someone else all the time, I couldn't do that. So, and that's all that Borden does, is he's someone else all the time. So at the end of the movie, Angier points out to Borden that, you know, the whole reason that he did it was for the excitement on the faces of the people in the audience. And that was the part that Borden couldn't understand, was that it was a performance for the people. So they just couldn't understand each other.
That's a good way to look at it, because he would not be able to sacrifice being the guy in the under the stage when they cheer and clap. Andrews could not stand being that character.
Right.
So, can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah,
about
Go
that?
for it.
So the prestige, in one sense, is the payoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that like the metaphoric use of it for that guy couldn't accept that he needed the prestige? This guy that we're talking about that couldn't
Angiers
have,
is human.
he needed to have that prestige. Like he couldn't go without it. Is that something that
The word couldn't be more fitting for its reveal. You know, that's like the poof, there he is, and then everyone cheers, and it's the most prestigious moment of that thing. That's where you feel your. For Angiers, at least, that's where he gets.
Because I want to see it. I want to see it because I had a feeling
all
of
of his yummy payoff.
I remember thinking that when I was watching the little bits that I did. I'm like, oh, that's why it's called this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't watched it in some time, it's definitely worth.
Okay.
Now that we're going through this.
Yes. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
There's a part in the beginning where Borden, meets Rebecca Hall's character. Sarah is her name. And he gives him a coin that has two heads, and so obvious, a coin with two heads, and then you got Borden's character himself is a person with two heads. So just like all these little payoffs when you go back and watch it through, knowing how it ends and knowing. I think one of the main themes was self-sacrifice and obsession, watching it through those lenses and then seeing all these things happen. Yummy payoff after yummy payoff. And there's a bunch of more plants that I found, but I think you guys get the point.
Yeah, no, those are cool. Those are all like subtle ones that you have to be paying attention to. So there isn't really like a big moment like some of the other movies we have where there's like the big emotional reaction or the big climax that kind of paid all these together to have this moment. It's all these little things that kind of throughout the story keep going back to what happened here, or referencing it in other tricks or in the dialogue or in the coin. It's all connected to each other all the way through. The whole thing,
wasted image. In that movie, I feel.
Yeah.
And then, so that we got 2 categories done, and this isn't some scholarly thing. It's just, I noticed that there's 4 categories that each of my favorite payoffs fit into. But the third one is justice or revenge. So pretty straightforward, but we need to care about the characters and the situation heartily enough to really make it a yummy payoff. So like the hero conquers, justice is delivered, man versus man, overcoming a foe or equilibrium is restored. Wind River is a big one. Rocky 2, Gladiator, Knives Out, Unforgiven.
That's probably Shawshank fits into that category.
Those are all great.
You might want to listen to the fourth.
Oh, okay.
Before,
So
yeah.
fourth one, okay.
I don't know if I said 12 Angry Men or not, but
Nope.
Also Django Unchained. But I think like Snake Eyes, for example, would fit this, where justice
Snake Eyes, yeah.
comes in. Because even the protagonist has to kind of face the music a little bit.
Yeah,
so
very
that's
much so,
more
yeah.
equilibrium. Like, okay,
Yep.
Enough of
kind
the
of,
shady stuff.
Yeah, so it's all the tears in, what's the word? But it's all like the negative stuff you do, the underhanded stuff that causes the ripple effect. Then it keeps going, and it kind of is like, well, all these wrinkles in here, let's just flatten them all out now, and that does it. And it's a character who's the evil outweighs his evil, and he's like, I have to do this, and it's going to have to deal with it because of the payoff, or the justice I'm going to have to ensue. And the villain in the story even calls him out on it. It's like, you can't do this because the light's going to shine on you, and you can't handle it. You're going to burn up under the scrutiny that's coming from this if you go further. And he does it anyway, and he eats the cost for it. But that's I'll shut this for that.
So the movie that I picked for this category was Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl.
Excellent.
Love
that movie.
Pretty straightforward. Jack Sparrow, he's got a couple things he's got to redeem himself with. He's got to get his own ship back, and he's got to get some revenge on Barbossa.
He's got his Chekhov's compass, Chekhov's gun with one round, and half expected this sword to be made of wood.
Yep. So yeah, the gun with one bullet was always something that stuck out, and you get to see how much this is a part of his personality, is to get back what he had. And we don't jump into the story until he's already lost what he had. So it kind of makes his character a little bit more mysterious, where we're trying to figure out, is he good? Is he bad? I don't know. Why, he's doing some good deeds, but his ultimate goal is, malice towards everyone that wronged him.
Yeah. The mutineers. Mutineers? Mutineers? Somebody help me out.
I think he had it right.
I think that's right. After he was marooned. Yeah.
The Marooners.
The Marooniers.
Even his compass, like it's not
His compass,
it's not clear. It's just, oh well, what do you want? So to me, it was like his character, and I mean the movie in general. To me, was kind of the pointing out the difference between a rigid structure, and I think even the character, the governor at the end, kind of points it out as well. What do he say is like, piracy could be the right answer. I don't know. He says it some funny way, but it's kind of blurring the lines. Like there's structure, but sometimes that structure isn't always correct, and you have to. You have on one side you have Barbossa and just chaos, and the other side you have, I guess, the Commodore and structure and rigidness, and the middle is where you have Jack, you have Will, and then eventually Elizabeth, where it's you kind of need to put those things together, kind of blend them a little bit. I think that all contributes to the yummy payoff, at the end, where it's not just Jack getting revenge, it's also things evening out.
The curse being restored.
Right, the curse is gone. The rigidness of the Commodore and the governor is kind of smoothed out. Jack gets his ship back.
The gunshot. the one shot he's been carrying throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, it was straight up
It
revenge.
didn't hit me until he shoots him. I feel cold. Like, I'm like, oh, that's the gun with the one bullet from the beginning. And he carried it after, because when he's marooned, it's in the story that they maroon him with a bullet or a gun with one shot meant to shoot yourself when you're marooned. And he kept it the whole time just to finish him off at the end once the curse was finished. It hit me when he got shot there. I'm like, oh man, he was holding it the whole time. Like, that was such a cool moment for me. It was like that was great.
Yep. You know, of course, the way that Johnny Depp acted contributed so much towards us caring for his character.
Yep.
No matter how morally
That's right.
ambiguous he was.
Bankrupt.
Yeah. Morally bankrupt. This savvy, cunning, crooked, you know, like whatever. It was such a great character that you couldn't help but root
I
for
want to
him.
see it again. I want to see him again.
It went downhill, but like, but that first movie is perfect. It was so well done.
I had written down Law and Order versus moral fortitude, questioning Law and Order versus what is right or what is correct, or you know. That was the third category, justice/revenge. And this last one here, so that was my 3 movies, because the fourth one is what we're going to watch for next week's episode. But the last category is the most universal one, and I believe has more potential than the other 3 categories for strongest visceral reaction, and that's triumph and salvation. It's more about the perseverance of our hero through trials and tribulation, overcoming a situation rather than a foe, or like profound enlightenment that our character goes through. So examples I have in here is Shawshank Redemption,
Okay.
Pinocchio, It's
like
a Wonderful Life,
Castaway.
Okay. Yep, Signs, Godzilla -1 I had in here,
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast, Coco, The King's Speech.
Oh, love those 3 could be the top 3.
So
right there.
I told you,
I haven't seen The King's Speech.
What?
I have not seen The King's Speech.
get out.
I'm not a Colin Firth
So
fan.
I showed him the door.
I'm only a fan of Colin Firth movies when it's a rom-com.
He's never been in a rom-com.
Love Actually.
Bridget Jones' Diary.
This is a
Part 2 and 3.
Part 2.
1, 2, and 3.
Let me finish. Parts 2 and 3.
So I feel like I could probably continue with a ton more titles that fit this category. I won't.
Passion of the Christ.
I mean, would you consider that a yummy payoff?
I don't know if I'd consider
'Cause
it
I know. So KMax, I had actually
Theological debate.
for all
right
of
there.
humanity. Yes.
I had leaked the idea of these 4 categories to James the other night. So he's
I had
trying
a
to
leg
come
up, and I'm still not
He's-
caught up to you.
He's trying to come up with movies that are outside of this, but I in turn challenge if they're yummy enough payoffs. So
Yeah,
you
so there's
bring
still
up-
the umbrella of Yummy Payoff, but he still has the categories as movies that are like... So I'm like finding them in one category, but not quite in the other category.
Sure.
but not quite a yummy payoff. So like, I think Passion of the Christ is
Yeah, but yummier payoff
just
than
a heavy,
Prestige?
heavy movie.
I could definitely more yummy payoff than Prestige.
I mean, if you're looking at it as just a movie, okay, with nothing else attached to it, no beliefs, no faith, none of that, what are you watching?
The death and sacrifice of the Savior of humanity?
So
And his resurrection?
I mean, all 3 of us are Christian, God-fearing men here. But if I'm watching that as a movie, you're watching the torture of a man,
Yeah.
right? And without context, you're just watching.
Okay, so if it's going through trials and tribulations, but in the end he's comes back to life, I'd say that's just as yummy of payoff as...
Do we know why?
Yeah.
As a movie, do we know why? Like, we know that
what
Christ
what
is
his
dying for
what his
sins.
what his return to life means, right? But outside the movie,
Like, why is he getting tortured? It's because other people just don't think that he's...
right? It's blasphemous. The Jewish Sanhedrin is coming down on someone who claims to be God and is usurping upsetting their control and authority over the kind of twisted version of Jewish control they have over the nation they have at the time.
So,
But that's not put in the movie in its context. You're right.
so he returns to life, and he's got the that shows that he still has the wounds and everything.
Yeah.
But unless if it's a non-Christian person watching it that doesn't know the stories of the Bible, does that make it enough of a payoff for them?
Probably not. But I didn't know any of the stuff. If I didn't pick up on the clues in the other movies, does that make it as much of a payoff or not?
Yeah.
Like if I never, like it's a payoff now when you tell me like, oh yeah, the bird is representative of Angier's killing himself in the end because it's like the twin who has to die in order for him to have his prestige moment. I didn't know that when I first watched it, but now I do, and now I enjoy it even more. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, Max,
we can
what are your thoughts?
No, I love
on
it. I love the conversation.
we can agree to disagree in this at this table.
No, but I love the conversation though, because one of the reasons why we don't ever get anywhere, one of the reasons why we don't ever get anywhere as a society is because the minute we feel uncomfortable with the conversation, we stop because we don't want to offend. But that's not it. I think that it takes a little more digging to get some resolution in any conversations. I think we're lazy. I don't think that we don't want to offend. I think sometimes we get lazy. I know I do. So I'll just say, I usually leave it alone. I'm like, ooh, well, no, that's not comfortable. Well, there's no reason why it has to be uncomfortable. That Key and Peele's sketch, where he's like awkward. He goes, no, it's not awkward. You see, it's not awkward until you said that. Now it's awkward because you said that. So you're the one who made it awkward, not me. Okay. No, it really is okay because nothing's wrong. There was never a problem. But I think I kind of apply that in my head to like anything that, teaching in public school and being a believer, right? Being a native and being a believer. There's a lot of opportunities for that conversation to happen across settings. For people to say, even like, people like, they use the term of like Bill Maher, Book of Jewish Fairy Tales, and he's like, let's pretend that not the whole world believes what you believe, and whenever I talk to other teachers and stuff, I think that's where I end up starting with is like it's a conversation we can have when we talk about science or origins and things like that, but still a cool conversation to have. I think even the more plain everyday, even more social talks like over movies. I think you can accomplish a whole lot more talking like how real people talk. We're not all theologians.
Yeah.
So we're talking like regular people over movies and stuff. And I guess my thoughts on it is it's hard for me to put it into a nice, clean category to say I can appreciate it because of its artistic value and its and the merits of the way that it was produced and done.
Well,
But I think in the same way, though, I get what you're saying too, James. That in the same way, a lot of times, you're trusting the director and the writers. They're taking you on this thematic journey too through the plot and the arc of all these other characters, and I think it's just a matter of how much you care about the character, whether the payoff's there. So if you care about Christ in that particular movie, and if is it Mel Gibson or I don't know who did it?
Yeah.
Whoever was like the story runner behind it made you as an audience care about it, whether you're agnostic or, Muslim or anything else or Christian. If they did their job, you feel compassion for this character, and you should be. If they did a good job of it, that you should be able to feel that mounting moment. You should be able to feel the pain and the suffering, and you should feel victorious when he does, in fact, raise again. You know what I mean? And so that payoff can be huge just from a real artistic place if it's done right. So if it's done horribly, probably shouldn't feel the payoff at all, regardless of your beliefs.
And I feel like if those who aren't Christians and are just watching it, they're like, great, I watched a guy just get tortured for 2 hours. This is nice. I can see that for someone who's, and that's why it's like, might not be the payoff. But I was just saying, like, as far as the justice and triumph, or the redemption and triumph category, like that would be the category would
Yeah,
put that one in.
but
So I'm just trying to come up with ideas like what else could fit in this category. If I'm perceiving the idea of category 4 correctly, this would fit. But if it wouldn't, it's only because of the payoff. Correct? If I read that right? Okay.
Because we mentioned this from the start, was that a yummy payoff is so subjective. So I remember one of the first times I watched it with my mom, and she was crying during a good portion of it when he's being tortured, and it wasn't it's different than watching like a horror movie where someone's being
some
tortured.
slasher. Yeah.
But because I know where her beliefs lie, you can see why this affected her so much. So like it just comes down to that subjectivity, at least with watching this, because for me, it's still someone else's depiction of words that we believe.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing on screen, it's not like it's a biography. Like it's someone's interpretation of what is presented in the Bible.
Yeah.
In relation to this, if it were to be someone's top, so now to call it a yummy moment, it was like, do you really want to call it a yummy payoff now? So that's why, like, in the beginning, I was like, is that a yummy payoff? You want to label that a yummy payoff? Okay.
Yeah.
If I wanted to say like a quality conclusion,
I think the job's up to the filmmaker to make us care. So regardless if it's Muhammad doing his pilgrimage, or if it's
Tom Cruise laying a sword down.
Yeah, or if it's Christ being crucified, you need to, as a filmmaker, create the character, give the audience a reason to care about him. And if you do that, I guess, even if you're not using scripture, but if you build the context of historical, you know what I mean, about his role with his people and his own people turning on him. And we've seen stories in epic hero journeys like that. So, but the filmmaker has to do it. If they don't do it, then I guess it's going to be up to the viewer to say, hey, this works for me, or this doesn't work for me. There's a lot of movies like that where I guess I feel real strong emotion for characters that I don't totally understand their arc, but then someone will say, among Shinto culture, this is what they do. I'm like, oh, that's why there's people that really enjoy that from that culture.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, was it Crazy Rich Asians?
Rich Asians, yeah.
And then also the Kite Runner.
I didn't see that one.
So, like, well, the book, I mean, I guess we're talking about literature now, there's things that happen in there that I have no schema, I have no background knowledge of, but I felt it because the author did such a good job of creating it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard people like that touch them on the spiritual level, people of that belief, Hindu people. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but I didn't get any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the payoff big time with it.
Nice.
And
that just shows you how well the story was written.
Well, that's
why
it.
you're getting the payoff in a culture you probably don't understand or connect with.
And that's kind of fun, too. That's kind of fun when you can get that. It's like, oh, wow.
And with we talked quite a bit about faith in movies today, unexpectedly, but that is going to be one of the themes somewhere in the future. One of the episodes will be religion and faith in movies, so that'll be interesting to continue that conversation there. But I wanted to add, I think I may have said this earlier, but a movie's greatness is not connected to a yummy payoff. Just because it might not have a yummy payoff doesn't mean it's one of the best movies ever. So a couple of examples I had were like Pulp Fiction, a movie that is so non-linear that, you can't, it's not like you could say, oh yeah, the yummy payoff was at the very beginning, I want to say Godfather wasn't the yummiest, to me, but like the way that the story's told and the way it moves was more of a shift. So it wasn't really like something was resolved. It was more like it was passed on. And for me, The Dark Knight, you had the final, I guess, quote, battle where, he's the two ships are, pitted against each other, and Batman's trying to track down Joker. But it's not like, to me, it's not like one singular moment happened, or there wasn't like a battle, Batman versus Joker. It was Joker's scheme versus
It was like
Batman's
ideologies.
fortitude.
It was like ideologies versus each other.
So like,
Or No Country for Old Men.
yeah,
That one comes to mind.
That was the whole, the point of it was no final showdown there.
The camera just kind of pulls in to find the guy, your main character, just dead. You don't see him die. You don't see a gunshot, or you don't see a gunfight or anything. He's just
and that
there.
To me that was part of the theming for the movie, but for an audience looking for a traditional gut punch. And,
That's me.
Yeah.
I never knew why I liked that movie so much. I still don't. I couldn't tell you right now. And I guess I'm gonna have one more question for Corey before I fall asleep, because I'm an old man. Where did you learn a lot of these things? Just is there like a film school or class, or was it?
I went to Syracuse for transmedia, which is just an umbrella term for. They had film, photography, art, video, computer art, and so a lot of these classes had overlapping courses that you could take, and it was a lot of focusing on like the art aspect of
That's so
media.
cool.
So it wasn't all that though. It was like just regular film classes, writing classes. Just translating literature. When you can read like Great Gatsby and finding all the symbolism there, it just works the same way watching it. Watching a movie, you look for the same way that the director or the filmmakers or writers are trying to convey what they're trying to tell you. You look for it the same way. And so I wouldn't say it was like a single class or anything. It was just a pattern of looking for more within the movie.
He's made me watch so many movies I didn't understand.
Well, honestly,
And then-
seriously, yeah.
And then him like explaining it, or I'd watch a movie review on it. I'm like, oh, that's why this is this and that. And once the pieces kind of fit together, then the movie made sense. And so I'm just following along.
Well,
his coattails, I
I'm
guess.
all for getting more juice out of the berry, as it were. And then this is another way to do it. So it's kind of like, yeah, I love being a part of this because I love hanging out with you guys and having coffee and whatnot. That said, though, I learn more than I can give, to the podcast. I learn each week. And so then I see it broadens the way that I watch movies. And at 52, it's kind of cool to have something new, like saying, oh, I never saw that. Neat. Or you guys find myself start looking for it. And even TV shows like streaming series. I was watching, House of the Dragon last night, looking at some symbolism and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, Corey'd be so proud of me right now. Just things that I'm thinking right now. I'm like, I wonder how many people that'll be listening to these will be challenged and actually, maybe even grow or take a chance to say, I'm going to look beyond just the yummy payoff. I'm going to look beyond just the good guy gets the girl. And maybe because you can appreciate different kinds of movies.
Right. And I in no way consider myself an authority on anything. Half the stuff that I'm taking from these movies could just be BS, and
That's the best part about it.
It's still the way that I'm interpreting it based on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it's how you consume it.
What's the line? The way that we experience them.
Yes.
Dive into how films direct the way we experience them.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
The cup says it all.
The cup says it all. It's our theme.
Might be a marketing opportunity for Voz there.
well, I'd have to thank a certain hotel in a certain place in Florida.
Oh, indeed.
Not verbatim. If a keen ear is listening, it's not verbatim, but it's very close.
Yeah. It's the sincerest form of flattery, though.
Our next episode, I'm gonna say the movie, but I'm not sure if it's streaming anywhere. I know that I have it. It is called The Florida Project. Have either of you seen this movie?
I have not.
Willem Dafoe, right?
Yes.
I watched something with you, but I didn't see the whole movie.
Okay.
I've seen Platoon.
I have not seen. Wait, no, I have. No, I haven't. Not Platoon. I have not seen Platoon.
The Fault in Our Stars also. Underrated role for him.
Fault in Our Stars. That's Woodley, right? Shailene
Yeah.
Woodley?
Yep.
And
John Green's book. Ansel Ansdorf.
Oh yeah.
Is it Baby Driver?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ah, yes. I did see that one. I've seen that. I've seen the movie. I didn't read the book.
Both great.
Ooh,
10th grade English. All over again. It's the best.
just making the young girls cry.
That's,
So KMax, I think Florida Project is going to be pretty far up your alley here. For Jimothy, it might be a little bit of a departure of his typical movie.
Probably.
But I think that'll be
Still gonna watch
interesting to get both of your takes on it, and to see if you find the payoff as deep as I find it, I guess. And I have high hopes for KMax watching it. I'm not going to give much away, but
okay.
It's called The Florida Project for a reason, and you'll find that out. But if it's not streaming anywhere, I guess
I got it, I think.
If I got to come have coffee at your house and sit in your air conditioning and watch it with you, I guess I will.
You got it, James?
I got it. It's HBO Max. I got it.
Oh, I have it on. I have HBO Max also.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. All right.
To be clear, it's not the Florida Projects.
We're watching The Villages.
It's great.
No salvation there.
Yummy payoffs, but
Maybe
fun.
some revenge.
This is great.
And plenty of climax.
plenty of climax.
Falling action.
Not to be outdone by rising action.
The editors are going to have a good time this week.
Yes, I will. All right, I think that does it for episode 3. Again, brought to you by the phrase, Yummy Payoff. All right, until next time. Any other closing notes, comments, concerns?
No, I'm all set. I'm ready for next week.
I love, man. Hope your week is full of yummy payoffs, kids.
Yes. Yummy payoffs for all. And to all, good night.